If I were to start my career all over again, this is going to be the advice that I would give to my 15-year-old self. Now, it has been 15 years since I got my very first job online. I was a freelance writer where I would basically ghost write, which is basically I would write an article and someone would say that it was theirs for blogs. And I also worked with magazines at one point. And if I were to go back to that Leanne who was trying to figure things out, this is what I would tell her. Now, in those 15 years, I have had multiple different careers. And for the last 6 years, I've run my own virtual assistant business where then I've had other people start their careers with us as well. And this is typically the type of advice that I would give them as well. The first piece of advice is it's going to be hard. And this goes into all of the aspects of job hunting, of actually having a job, of actually doing your work, of actually building your career. And the reason why it is hard, because you're doing things that you did not know how to do or that you did not know to expect. And what that basically really means is that when you go into any job, any work, so for example, for me being a writer, right? I didn't know yet who I was when it came to handling deadlines. I did not yet know what it would be like to work with multiple clients at the same time and juggling their demands and their asks. And it was the same thing for me when I started a full-time job for the very first time and not be freelance, where I had to figure out schedules and routines and how to keep myself healthy. And when I started my own business, that was another thing I did not know. So the reason why a lot of careers can be hard or difficult is that you just don't know yet how to handle that situation. Of course, that's not the same with just difficult bosses or bosses who are just not nice. But what I mean with this is that you are going to have a hard time when you get started, and it's just going to be part of the process. It's just something to expect. Is you're going to be a little overwhelmed, is you're going to have no idea what you're actually doing, and you're going to have to need to ask for help. Which brings me to my second piece of advice, which is basically it's okay to ask for help. And this is coming from someone who is the eldest daughter, and it was so hard for me to ask for help just because I didn't want to seem weak or that I didn't know what I was doing, which I really did not know what I was doing. And I had to really learn that other people are there to be able to help, to be able to, even if they're not your workmates, they could be people from a Facebook group that you met or a community, which is why we have the AI for VAs community over at nas.io, and our Facebook group is, and other people can ask questions and be able to get answers from other people who've gone through it as well. So for you, if you are currently just like stuck and you have no idea, ask for help. There's going to be people who have gone through what you've gone through, or can help you figure out how to get through it. Next is that you are responsible for you. And what that means is essentially how you react, how you think things through, how you act is your responsibility as a human being. If you now have a career, if you now have a job, you can't just blame like, oh, they made me do it. You know, they did this to me or they told me to do this. You are still the one making the choice. What I basically mean here is self-responsibility can be very scary because of course if it succeeds, if it fails, it's up to you. But that is how you grow. That is how you get better every single time, every single day, is by taking that self-responsibility and then learning from it, and not just saying like, oh, you know, I grew up this way, so I'm that way, I'm like this kind of a terrible person. You are aware of that flaw, or I guess that character trait of yourself. So it is now up to you to make that choice, to make it, hey, I'm going to take responsibility for this and make the change and shift myself in this way, or I'm just gonna let this be other people's problem forever and ever and ever, ever. So if you are wanting to make that shift, it starts with that awareness of like, where am I sucking here? Basically, where am I not doing well here? And then learning how to not be that way. And again, you have people that you can ask for help. It's going to be hard, but it's again part of the process. Next is build relationships, and not just with your colleagues or the people you work with, but also with your bosses, with your managers. And what I mean by build a relationship, it doesn't mean that you have to be friends with them. You have to go out for drinks or you have to go for dinner for them, or if you're working remotely, you have to, have post Zoom meetings to talk about the meeting because you guys are friends. It doesn't mean building friendship. I mean building a relationship, building it to the point where you make sure that you show up with the energy that you want to be treated. So if you want to be respected, if you want to be seen as someone's professional, if you want to be looked up to or ask questions or mentored, you have to show up as that. You have to show up respecting your colleagues. It's making sure that they know your boundaries when it comes to work, but not being overly pushy. It's also making sure that you take responsibility when you just haven't communicated well, when you haven't been clear about something. So what I mean by building the relationship is that you're not just there to go get work done, get paycheck and go. You're there to develop relationships because, as I can tell you, these people who are in the same job as you, 5-10 years from now, you probably will still see them. You probably will collaborate with them in some way or another. And for me, I've been very lucky that my boss, when I started out with very first full-time gig, is now my co-founder, because I built that relationship basically with him. I call him my business dad. And for a lot of the interactions in the last 11 years that I've been working with this guy, we've kind of gone through life together where he's taking care of me when I'm sick. I've taken care of him when he's sick. I've been part of his family at this point, and when I got married, his whole family was in my wedding entourage. So that is essentially what it means to build relationships, is you become friends with these people by being intentional about building the relationship first, but not expecting anything else, and just kind of building who yourself up as you are working together with this person. And also, I know other people who basically, because they develop friendship with their manager, their boss, or their colleague, later on when they move to other jobs, they were able to get referrals or references from them, and they've been able to get jobs because of really glowing reviews or feedback just because you showed up as that person. You definitely don't want to be the kind of person who puts someone's name on their resume as a referral, but then they won't remember who you are. And I've gotten those emails from an HR who's like, hey, do you remember this person? I'm like, kinda no. So that's one of the reasons why you also want to build that relationship. Next is to find the fun. And this is a company value that we used to have in the business. We've kind of shifted it to something else now. But I love the adage of find the fun. When you're doing work, when you're doing your day-to-day, when you're taking care of yourself, find the fun. And what that means is find the things that bring you a little joy, a little glimmer in life, so then when you are getting work done, when you're building that career, you're finding the things that make it a reason basically for you to do it. So for me, my find the fun is when I was working as a book editor, I was like, hey, I'm being paid to read books. When I started building my virtual assistant business, like, hey, I'm the matchmaker of business owners who are overwhelmed and virtual assistants who can get them out of that overwhelm, and we'll build the system in between to get them working really well. So I created a lot of kind of identities basically, or just like adages to myself, so that I can keep in mind the bigger picture of what I'm building this for, of what I'm doing this for. And for you, it could be like, hey, I'm building this career so I can travel and work anywhere. Of like, hey, I'm building this career so I can take care of my family and be at home. Of, hey, I'm doing this career so I have the time to do my hobbies, to do whatever with my life, because this career basically funds that. So finding the fun is basically just keeping in mind that you are doing this for something. You're not just, again, here to get the work done, get the paycheck, get out. You are creating a little bit of that collaboration of your dreams and what you're doing and what that career means to you. Next is create routines or systems to make life a little easier. And this is going to be part of finding not really a balance when it comes to your work and life. It's really finding a way to make sure that one doesn't outweigh the other when it comes to what it is that you're doing. So it could be that you have a morning routine where you go for a walk, you meditate, you journal, you do something that you love to prepare yourself for the day. If you're working remotely, working from home, then you're making sure you have a separate workspace. And then when you're actually at work, you're making systems to make your life easier. So either you have a checklist, you have a template, you have an asset, you have a standard procedure on how you're doing things at work, so then it becomes a little bit easier. It doesn't have to be this black box of what am I doing today? How did I do it yesterday? Do you have a system for it? And then after work, what's your routine? What's your system like? Like, how are you going to get yourself thinking of work? How are you going to put that boundary of like, okay, that's it. I'm not working anymore. I'm now going to be debriefing myself and doing the things that I love. So it's finding the routine and the systems that work for you when it comes to both preparing for work, getting work done, and then after work, how do you decompress? How do you think things through? How do you still have the energy to do other things that you want to do? And lastly, take care of yourself. And I say this in every single video where I'm giving you guys advice, is that this is for the long term. This is not just a career for 5, 10 years, 20 years. It's going to be the thing that you love to do, or hopefully that you enjoy to do at the very least. It doesn't have to be that you love to do it, but it's something that keeps your brain going. It's something that keeps you getting up in the morning. It's something that you are putting value into the world, in the thing that you are doing, and you're doing this long term. So to be able to do this long term, you have to take care of yourself. What this means is making sure that you do something that moves your body. It's making sure that you don't put a lot of junk in your body. It's making sure that you are pouring things into your cup, so then you have something to give to other people as well. So it's doing the things that bring you joy, again, bring you that glimmer. Again, that's why you have to find the fun, is then you are able to show up your best self at work. And when you're not at your best self, which will happen, you're able to communicate it clearly, because again, you've been able to create this kind of your standards of taking care of yourself. Then you know the moment that you dip that something is wrong, and then you can communicate with other people as well. Having a career doesn't mean that you have to really struggle for a long time. Having a career doesn't have to mean that you are hating every single thing that you're doing every single day, but it starts with taking care of yourself, of raising that standard of how or what does it look like to fully take care of yourself, so that it's easier for you later on to be able to communicate that to other people. And I guess that's my last piece of advice, is learn how to communicate clearly. And I have seen over and over again client and assistant relationships not just work out, but like explode or implode, because of there's no clarity when it comes to communicating expectations, feedback, when it comes to communicating just what it is that you need. Like if you're stuck on something, just say something. If you don't know how to do something, figure it out a little bit, and then get to the point where you're like, hey, can I ask for help for this? How can I do this better? So when it comes to communication, it's going to be one of the key things that will actually help you grow as a person, as a human being. So when you are someone who can get to the point where you can be very clear when it comes to asking for help, when it comes to, again, setting the boundaries, setting expectations, giving other people feedback as well, you're going to excel in so many things that you do in life when you are someone who is a clear communicator. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Of course, make sure to join the Ava community with the link below. If you guys like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there. Comment below if you have any questions at all when it comes to starting your own remote or online career. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday on how to grow your career, especially with AI. And if you want to have a business with AI, you can check out my second channel here. And of course, check out the latest video right here. Hope you guys have an amazing day. And remember that small steps matters. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.